How can you tell whenever your partner is lying to you? I'm going to tell you what behavioral scientist and Science of People founder Vanessa Van Edwards says that liars do every time. So I'm going to show you the 5 steps of actual science-based lie detection. And it's not what you normally think. We're going to debunk a lot of the things that people say that are true of lie detection. And then at the end, I'm going to show you how you can create an environment where you never have to worry about lying or being lied to ever again. So first, just a few things that are really fascinating that Vanessa Van Edwards talks about as some of the just like basis of lie detection and of liars. And so the first thing that she talks about is that honesty is a muscle. It's something that we flex and it wears down, and it's stronger at the beginning of the day than it is at the end of the day. So that's why a lot of times we suggest breakfast dates. Now, if you really want to get a hold and see what somebody is actually about and what their real truth is, you get them in the morning before they have something that's a real thing: honesty fatigue. And it's not that people are trying to be deceitful, but there just really is a lot going on. And sometimes we just lose the drive to be completely honest. And in the morning, it's a lot easier to flex that muscle. So the second thing that we talk about is congruent. And what we mean by congruence, honesty is a muscle. Well, you see, liars, they've got a lot going on. Whenever I'm talking to you, I'm just sitting here and we're having a conversation and it's just flowing. I'm saying something, you're saying something. Whenever you're lying, not only am I just talking, but I've also got to keep this lie straight, right? And then as I've got that lie straight, I've also got to measure and see if it's working, right? See if you're believing it. And then also I'm seeing if you are reflecting it back to me, right? If you're believing the lie back to me. So you've got all this stuff going on. And so a lot of times our body is not going to match up what our mouth is saying. You should trust the body. If the head is nodding yes and the voice is saying no, it's probably a yes. It's hard to get your body to lie. Even try doing that. Just try like waving your head no and saying yes, or holding up 3 fingers and saying 5, and just see how that feels. It's really weird. So trust the body. Look for incongruence. And so a third thing that we talk about is the Pollyanna effect. And it's really you get what you expect. And that's true about a lot of things. And so whenever we're going into situations where we think we might need to detect a lie, it is common for us to go in thinking, okay, I've got to be on guard. I've got to remember all the tools. I've got to really detect something. I've got to pick it out, right? And so that's actually a bad way to go into it, because our brains really do work like that. We do get what we expect. And so there are some cues that we give that look like dishonesty, but it might just be nervousness or anxiety. So go into it expecting truth. You can actually learn these tools and then store them away. So you don't have to like keep them in front of mind and have them out in your display to be able to utilize them in a situation whenever you need them. You just learn this stuff and then you put it in the back and trust your intuition. And then you can take advantage of the Pollyanna effect and you can become a better lie detector because you're expecting positivity, you're expecting truth and honesty from your partner. So what are the steps of lie detection? And so, we hear a lot of tips and tricks and things like this. And there was something that came out that they were talking about, whenever people access lies, they look up and to the left, and truth, they look down and to the right, something like that. And the truth is they weren't able to reproduce those results because there was some stuff that they were able to take from it, but that's not exactly actually the truth. So it's not that people have a specific place that they look, like all humans, whenever they're seeking truth, they look up and to the left. But you do get into the first step of lie detection, which is baselining. So whereas it's not that we all have a certain place that we look up and to the left, we do all generally access truth in the same place. Like, for instance, I access truth whenever somebody asks me a question and I'm trying to think about the answer. I'm like, right? It's like, up and to the right, And so that's what you want to get with people. Whenever you're talking with people, you can ask a priming question Like ask them, so where are you from? People aren't generally going to lie about that, right? So you can start to get a baseline of what they look like. What are the things that they do whenever they're telling the truth? Get a baseline. And so the second step goes into that too, and that is to get a nervous baseline. So remember earlier I was saying that a lot of times we can mistake a lack of confidence or other similar looking emotions for deception, right? And so nervousness can look a lot like deception. So the other thing that we want to do, we never want to just assume that because somebody portrays a certain characteristic that they're automatically lying, right? So the second step, we want to give it a nervous baseline. So you can ask them a question that's going to make them nervous that they probably wouldn't lie about. So you baseline, and then you want to get a nervous baseline as well. So step 3 is you want to start looking for those sudden red flags, right? So whenever you've established a baseline, you know what truth looks like, you know what nervousness looks like, and then you can kind of start seeing the congruence. You start seeing them always acting the same way as you're telling the truth. But then you start seeing whenever they start acting a little bit erratic, they start acting a little bit different, then that's when you know, oh, that's a red flag. Oh, that's a red flag. And it doesn't mean that they're lying automatically. It could just be nervousness, another kind of emotion. But you want to start to get an idea of them. That actually goes into step 4, which is clusters. You don't want to take one red flag out of context and think that that means deception. You want to look for clusters, really in groups of 3, right? If you have a certain topic or a certain question that, or a certain trigger that seems to evoke 3 or more of those red flags, then you know that you've probably got some more work to do. Then you know that you probably have a problem. And so that goes into step 5, which is confirmation, circling back, right? So whenever you see these groups, these clusters of these red flags, then you want to circle back and you want to bring that subject back up again. You want to ask somebody else. You want to see if you can get some more kind of congruence and see if you can get some corroboration from outside sources and wherever, right? Because those are just the signs that you could be having some deception. And so the question comes up, it's like, well, what if you do notice these? What if you do notice these clusters? What if you are noticing them over and over and repeatedly? Like, what do you do? And so that's the question. It's like, if you, rarely does it ever get past step 3. And if it does get past step 3, which means you're noticing the red flags and you're noticing these clusters and you're having to constantly corroborate, you're having to constantly question them. Do you want that person in your life? Hopefully, no. I've learned to have a really quick trigger around that. Like if I notice that somebody's not being real with me, then I'm a Scorpio and I'm like, no, I value honesty and just straightforwardness so much that I just don't have time and space for the people who are just not going to be real with me and who are going to continually push my borders and going to go past step 3 to step 4 with me a lot. I don't have those kind of people in my life, and you shouldn't either. And then that goes into how do we create just an environment where we don't even have to worry about that in the first place? And this is exactly what we've been talking about. And you hear me talk about psychological safety often, because that is how you are able to create vulnerability so that you can expose a part of yourself so that you can really connect with somebody. And the part about it that is so astonishing to me is that whenever you are in this integrity with somebody, that's the best feeling in the world. You have somebody that actually knows you, actually sees you. You can actually relax and be yourself around. You don't have to keep up this certain image. You don't have to remember this story or this person or this personality that you have to be in front of them. You can just be open and free. And that is the greatest feeling in the world. So why would you ever want to lie to your partner? Right? Why would you ever want to not be able to have that thing and that connection and that bond with them? And so it's important to have psychological safety. And psychological safety is just being able to create an environment where you feel free and safe to express yourself without fear of repercussion, right? And this goes both ways. You do need to be able to express your truth, but then the other person needs to be able to receive it well. Have an environment where, hey, you know that you both love each other, and you know that you want the best for yourselves and for each other, and that you're trying to grow and build your energy together. So whatever your truth is, I can accept that as long as you're honest with me. right? Whatever your truth is, you need to be free to express that to me so that I can connect with you in an honest and beautiful way. So there is ways to be able to detect these lies, but you want to be able to create psychological safety and be able to create that connection with your partner in the first place so that you don't even have to worry about lies or deception or any of that. And if you do, then you need to be able to get out. So that's what I've got for you today. Thanks a lot. Be sure that you like and subscribe. Share this with somebody who could use this. It's really important to us. It helps us to be able to continue to make these videos and help you out with some of these tips. So we really appreciate you. Thanks a lot. And remember, zoom out. Bliss is your birthright.